In 2019, we saw breakouts from a couple guys on both the Mets and the Yankees, but namely really Gio Urshela and JD Davis ended up being huge components of their teams, and kind of out of nowhere, that we did not see it coming. So let's try and predict that this year. And we'll start with the Mets, and Todd, we'll start with you. Who do you see likely to achieve that Urshela or Davis arc for the Mets in 2020?
You know what? I have a real hard time with this one because I don't think there's a lot of big surprises for the Mets. I don't think there's the guys like JD that really didn't have any other big league time or very, very little that came to a team and then wasn't expected to play. I don't think that really exists as much. There's a pretty set roster. There's a pretty set group of guys in the core of that team that you expect to be out there. So having said that, I think the guy that I could see potentially having what I would consider a bounce back year and be the guy that kind of comes out of nowhere, it could be Familia. And I think Jeryus Familia is a guy that's already had great success, obviously, as a closer, but the last couple of years has really started to wane a little bit. He came in such great shape. I think he's looking to have a bounce back year. And I think he's the guy that a lot of people have put on the sidelines as, hey, he could be a part of this bullpen. He could be something interesting, but anything we get out of him would be a bonus. I think he could come back and be a valuable part of this team and then maybe rise himself back into those ranks as a guy that the Mets really rely on. Outside of that, I don't really see necessarily myself personally anybody that's going to get the opportunity to be a breakout star with the Mets unless something really goes wrong with some of the guys that they are counting on.
I completely agree with Todd there on the fact that there aren't a whole lot of candidates here on this roster. And that speaks to the lack of true depth throughout the organization, really. But I do love his pick of Familia. I actually went with a guy who he has had some success in the big leagues, and I'm going to take him. His name's Matt Adams. He's a first baseman / DH, but the Mets have a lot of those guys, right? Well, this is a guy who in his career as a pinch hitter has hit 253 with 11 home runs. Those are good numbers. The last 2 seasons have been really bad as a pinch hitter. Before that, 17, and before that, through 146 at-bats, he has 46 hits. He's a 315 pinch hitter up until that point. But the guy could pinch hit, and he's a hit machine. I saw this guy play way back in the minor leagues back in 2009, 10 in AAA. And he hit 400 in that league for a while. And then he came to the Cardinals and he was a hitter there. I saw him play in Atlanta. I was with him in 17. I saw him come up and have some huge, big pinch hits with Atlanta that year. So this guy can do that. And that's where I see there maybe being a possibility of this guy, with the 30-man roster to start, 28 and then 26. We'll see how it shakes out with injuries and everything else. I see this guy potentially having the ability to come off the bench in big pinch hitting situations and make an impact.